Hi everybody, I'm Ryan. Today I wanted to examine the format warping power of the first printing of Delver of Secrets. Now I first started playing FNMs in Innistrad, and from Innistrad for pretty much a whole year and a half or so, at least until Thragtusk came out, Delver of Secrets totally warped Standard. If you were not playing a Delver deck, you needed a plan against a Delver deck, and frankly, if you weren't playing a Delver deck, you were probably wrong. Except for in small corner cases like the Wolf Run Ramp deck or whatever. Delver of Secrets is a 1/1 for 1. However, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may reveal the top card of your library, and if it's an instant or sorcery, it flips into a 3/2 flyer. And so if you're just a little bit lucky, you have a 1 mana 3/2 flyer, it being able to flip on turn 2 and be able to jam it on turn 2. So people made their decks with a ton of instants and sorceries so that Delver of Secrets could always flip, and made those instants and sorceries cards that both protected Delver and stopped your opponent what they were doing. So a very normal play pattern for that standard was turn 1 Delver of Secrets, it flips, and then you leave up cards like Mana Leak, like cards that protects Delver from bolt effects like Mutagenic Growth, Gitaxian Probe so you can see what's going on to see if you can tap out or not, Vapor Snag to remove your opponent's creatures from the battlefield, and also it can return Delver. Snapcaster Mage to be able to do it all over again, and of course, cards like Ponder and Thought Scour to let you just draw a ton of cards that replace themselves, and cards that can continue to flip Delver. The other creature that was sort of like Delver of Secrets was Geist of Saint Traft. Geist of Saint Traft was an amazing card, a 3-mana 2/2 with hexproof, and when it attacked, it put a 4/4 angel that was attacking on the battlefield that got rid of at the end of the combat. And so you played with Geist of Saint Traft a similar way you play with Delver. You get things out of the way, you protect it, and it was much harder to deal with. These decks were very good at getting ahead in tempo. And so when you played against them, it often felt like you didn't really get to play Magic because, they go turn 1 Delver, they'd flip it, you'd get your first spell Mana Leaked, and then you'd play a creature and then get it Vapor Snagged. And they'd try to kill their Delver and they'd Mutagenic Growth it. And then they'd put either a Sword of War and Peace or a Runechanter's Pike later in that format onto Delver of Secrets and you die. The caveat to all of this is that in order to play this deck, you needed to be pretty good at Magic. These tempo-based decks, it's important to assess what's important and what's not, and do you tap out or not, or do you think your opponent's tricking you into be able to kill your creature? Because really you don't have a lot of creatures to be able to kill your opponent with. So while this deck was extremely dominant for a very long time, nothing was really banned out of it. Wizards really thought that you could play decks that beat Delver. And Delver's reign came to an end at the end of Standard, I mentioned before, with Thragtusk. Thragtusk was a 5/3 for 5. When it entered the battlefield, you gained 5 life, and if it ever left the battlefield, then you got a 3/3. So cards like Vapor Snag no longer did anything, and you needed to counter Thragtusk. If Thragtusk really ever entered the battlefield against a Delver deck, you pretty much won. But even through Thragtusk, Delver remained a very powerful force in Standard through it all, and a huge reminder of the power level of old Standards. Frankly, I think the power level of old Standards is kind of the power level of Pioneer now. I'd take Blue-White Delver against a lot of different Pioneer decks that exist now. But I just want to make a quick video examining this dominance of Blue-White Delver, Delver of Secrets, the unplayable card now that dominated Standard way back when, because the card needs a lot of support of other very powerful cards. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.